Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Parenting Tools podcast with me, Jordan.
And me, Jason. Today is a very special episode. We are in both sunny and rainy Brighton. Is it in Brighton?
It's Brighton.
It is definitely Brighton, not Bristol. I'm glad I got on the right train. And today we have one of Jordan's childhood heroes. We are also joined by Martin and Anna Smith.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Oh,
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us. So we're in sunny Brighton. This is where you live. And we're obviously going to talk about family life. We're going to talk about home life. But I think one thing we'd like to talk to as well. So Martin, we've heard you talk about music. Anna, we've heard you talk about family. We'd love to talk about your childhood because we know that a lot of that sort of shapes what we are and what we do as parents, right? So that's where we're going to start, and then we're sort of going to journey through to life today, if that's all right with you. But before we start, how are you both? Are you both well?
Yeah, we're doing good.
We're doing great. We're celebrating today because Brighton beat Man City yesterday.
Yes, they did.
And that's you can feel that the city of Brighton is buzzing today.
Seagulls.
Amazing. Exactly.
Very excited.
Yeah. What are you excited about?
I am excited about this. I love new seasons. I love its beginning of a new term and just getting ready for that and all that means. I like that. It's new starts. So I'm excited about that.
I'm very nervous for the new
Are
term.
you?
Yeah, I'm not prepared. My daughter starts year one next
wow.
week, and I don't feel ready.
No.
That is,
No.
Before we jump into questions, for the listeners that don't know who you are,
Yeah.
can you just tell us who you are?
Yeah. Do you want to go or shall I go?
Yeah, go on, you go.
Okay, so I'm Anna Martin. We've been married for 31 years.
Yeah.
And we have had 6 children. The ages between 20, I'm going to get this all wrong, and I'm never going to remember all of them. 28 and 17. Our youngest is 17. 4 girls, 2 boys. Martin has been involved in music for all of our married life.
Yeah.
And so, we've navigated him being away, me being around with the children. And it's been amazing. We've travelled quite a bit, which is such a privilege. But also it's been tough with being on my own, I guess, with the 6 children for quite a lot of that, and Martin being away. So that's kind of us.
Yeah, and I have a slightly unusual, when people say, what do you do? I've got various ways I answer depending on who I'm sitting next to on a plane or whoever. But I have an unusual job in that I write songs for the church scene. So like, if you ever go to a funeral or a christening or a wedding or something like that, and you sing these songs, modern day hymns, I might have had a hand in helping write some of those. So kind of modern. It started with young people 35 years ago in a school hall in Littlehampton, and I was writing songs for all these kids to sing, express their faith in God. And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since, really. So unusual. No Radio 1 stories, really, but that's been my genre.
So it's interesting because when you say to people, like, going to interview Anna and Martin Smith, and they go, oh, who's that? And I say, do you know the band Delirious? And they say yes or no. If they say no, I go, well, do you know the song? And then list off a few songs, and they go, oh, yeah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah. That's the connection.
Yeah, and songs are always bigger than the people, aren't they? So that would be for me as well. You meet someone and they might know the song "I Could Sing Your Love Forever" or something, but they've never heard of anyone. And that's, I think, how a lot of people relate to songs, isn't it? You hear something on the radio or on a TV program, but you may not know who it is. But you just love the song, and so especially in the church scene as well. That's even more so. Yeah,
because I saw Justin Bieber singing that a few years ago. Did you see that clip? How does that feel when you see someone like Justin Bieber singing your song?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? He did a better job of it than me, actually.
I was thinking that. Are you worried, is he going to ruin it?
Exactly.
That's not how I meant it to sound.
No, it wasn't. It's not supposed to be like that. Amazing. It's great. And always, I think, for us over our whole life, and we'll get into this more, is that we've always been people of wonder. And like, wow, every day we'll be like, can you believe what's happened in our life? So much grace, and there's been a lot of joy in our life as well. and those things are all part of it, you know, like, wow, can you believe that happened? That's great.
Amazing.
So we actually had your eldest daughter on our podcast, Ellie.
Yeah.
6 kids.
Yeah.
Talk me through that. I've got 1. Jordan's got 3 now.
Yeah.
You've got double the
Congratulations.
amount of kids I've got, and people say, "Oh, you've got your hands full."
Yeah, I know. And it is. I mean, I think having one, it's a huge change in your life to have your first child. So, yeah, I think it is busy. It was full on. It was crazy.
And still is busy.
And still is. And I forgot to say, we're also grandparents now. So we've just hit this next stage. But it is the best thing ever. I mean, it's hard and it's tough at times, but the joy and the gratitude I have for being a mum, it's definitely what I love and what I feel God's called me to do. So with all that involved, it's been tough but amazing, and yeah, that's all I can say. Yeah, really good.
Can I say though that Anna is, I know she's my wife and I'm a fan anyway, but she's uniquely gifted to do it. And, you know, it's like watching like a brain surgeon, like uniquely gifted to do that, or, you know, a school teacher, but I've seen Anna like do the mum thing, and it's just been amazing to watch. And I knew nothing about kids when I got married. You know, nothing. I had no clue, and everything I've learned has been from Anna. And so, yeah, you're sort of super uniquely and incredibly committed and intentional to, you know, good things don't come out of nowhere, and you have really committed yourself, haven't you?
I think my mum showed me that, and I think it's interesting talking about the generations. And my mum was an amazing role model for me growing up, and they were pastors of a church and they opened up their home, but she had boundaries. She was really aware of putting us first, and that meant a lot to me, I think, growing up, and just the lifestyle that they had, and also maybe some of the decisions they made that I didn't think were good. I can swap that up and change that. I mean, I'm sure if you spoke to my children, they would have different stories as well to say. And I know they do. And we talk about that. I think that has been one of the beautiful things about now the children getting a bit older, to have those conversations of, you know, one of the things that I think I wasn't able to give 6 children that you can give 1 or even 3 is time. It's just one of those things, no matter what they have and where you travel and the experiences that they have had, I think the time is really tricky, because you just can't give that to 6. And the moments that I missed that they needed me and I wasn't there, or I didn't fulfill that, or I didn't see it, are real issues as they're getting older, and they can remember those moments, and I can just apologise, and we talk about it. And but those are some of the hard moments as well of having 6 children. You just don't have, and when I say even 6 children, it's their friends, it's the community, it's never just them, and now it's their partners, which is all a joy. But you are gonna, as a parent, not get it right, and you will mess up, and that's how you learn, and that's how I'm still learning. So
and also we thought that we'd get to this point where, okay, all the kids, you know, they leave home, some of them get married or whatever, then you have your sort of 5 or 6 years, don't you, where you know, let's go on a cruise. That's what everyone does, isn't it? We're going to go on a cruise before the next season starts. But we've got 2 children living at home and 2 grandchildren that are over most days, which is the joy of our life. And so there hasn't been a cruise.
That's slight bit of resentfulness.
Yeah,
or,
can you
delight?
I
don't know. Yeah.
No, we've done other very special things. But
I never want to go on a cruise,
No,
just to let you know.
neither do I.
No, I'm really happy.
the season has rolled into,
Yeah.
and you know, it's just the way it is, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's brilliant.
Did you always want a big family? Did you have a conversation and go, do you know what, let's have a big family? Or was it just, we're really enjoying this, let's keep going?
Yeah, I'm one of 5. So I grew up with
I'm one
lots
of 4.
You're one of 4. So I think, and we both enjoyed being part of big families. And I think, I think we always set out to have maybe 3 or 4. But I would definitely recommend have 1 and see see how you get on.
Start with one.
I'd just start
It's
with
like,
one.
before you get a dog, just borrow your friend.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and exactly it. Just see how you deal with one, and it can, for all sorts of different reasons. I think even just having one is full on. I remember it. Having one child, everything changes. So it's just see how you get on. But we intended to have a few, but never 6.
Yeah, we did. I don't know how it happened.
So I think you said it with having 6, you absolutely make mistakes. With one, you make mistakes. And it's really an interesting time that I'm at with my parents now, of having those conversations, of having those, seeing them in a new light.
Yeah.
Now I'm a parent and having those conversations. It's difficult, but it's also, I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah.
How would you, for the conversation isn't natural to a lot of people, especially within parents, talk about difficult topics.
Yeah.
How would you help someone, even just begin? Where is it just here's a quick phrase, because that can feel quite intimidating to approach those topics.
To talk to your parents.
Yeah, talk to your parents about that. Because
Yeah.
it's freedom on the other side of it, but
Yeah.
for many people, those are the topics that never get talked about.
Yeah. And you understand, because our parents probably did the best they did with what they knew
absolutely.
and what their parents taught them. So I think we're always wanting to have that transparency, and that I just think I want my children to know that I did the best. And I think by offering, I think we have to, as parents, lean into the fact that maybe we got it wrong. And I think if we don't give permission for them to speak, they probably won't. So I think if you can be brave enough and bold enough to say, hey, I'm aware that I couldn't give you time. Can you think of any areas where that had affected you or has affected you? That, I think giving them opportunities to speak and opening up rather than thinking you did everything right is part of that humility in yourself, but also that connection you want with your child, and that honesty and that healing ultimately that you can have together. And then you can explain why you maybe did that. It's a conversation rather than a parent and child. There is more of a conversation you can have about reasons why you made that decision and what was going on. And then ultimately you can say, I can see how you must have felt at that time, and I'm really sorry. So
yeah, I think one of the things we've been intentional about is, and I think this would be different from our parents' generation, is we would try and be a little bit more open with our kids. So, not just sort of playing the matriarchal, patriarchal, dominant role, you never question us, or we never, I remember, you can imagine, can't you, we all have different experiences, but, growing up in a home where your parents have had a big row, but it's never talked about, but they have, because there's a bad atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so they might as well just to come out and said, hey, we've just had a bad, but that was that generation, wasn't very private, no, we don't talk. And also then on the church side, you can never admit anyway that you'd done anything wrong anyway. So, but I think that Anna has been, and I've watched Anna do this really well, with our own children, hey, not everything, because you still have to have boundaries and privacy in your own marriage, but hey, Dad really annoyed me today. I'm just saying, guys, if you think there's a bad vibe around it, it's because Dad really ticked me off. He said something stupid to me. I'm just saying, and then I got annoyed with him. We had a row, but it's all good now. We've said sorry. End of. And they're like, yeah, brilliant, fair enough, fair enough. Anyone for more roast potatoes?
I think, literally. Let's address that.
I think you're good at popping the bubble of.
I think often in church atmospheres, church places you go, that I know growing up in a church, that there were bubbles that I was aware that there wasn't truth going on, and so I'm really aware to, not expose. You definitely, like we talked about, you need to protect. But if you're in relationship with somebody and like you said, just had an argument, just address it. Just say, hey, listen, guys, I might be a bit frosty because this, we just had a bit of an and everybody gets it. Everybody understands. I think we're not all perfect. We mess up. We have arguments, and I think addressing that sometimes is, I think that's healthier than not.
That's one thing I want to circle back to, and a reason why we're here with you around your family table, because that's something Ellie mentioned to us. But you've mentioned you've been married for over 30 years. Like I said at the start, let's talk a bit about your childhood. So you're one of five, sorry.
Five,
one of four. What was childhood like? Was it a happy childhood? And then how did you guys meet out of the back of that?
Yeah, mine was a happy childhood, brought up in a Christian home. But I think with that complicated, in regard to, I saw behind, my dad was a pastor, so I saw the ugliness of church and how cruel people can be, and sometimes the politics and some of the, and also what my dad had to carry and how incredible he was and how he loved the people. And as a child, watching that, he gave his life to the church basically, and sometimes that was secondary to us, and sometimes that was hard, and that was fine, and sometimes it wasn't okay. So I think I've got a happy childhood, but I've also navigated church myself as probably growing up in my teenage years, working what that meant for me. So that's probably my childhood.
Yeah, I had a similar, not quite the same. Grew up in a household. Parents were, really good people, church-going people, Christian people. But more on the conservative side, probably. So I grew up going to a very small chapel, and with probably 80 people. The lady on the church organ, who was amazing, by the way. But it was just like that, if you can imagine that, very hymns going up on the board, and then I don't know how I got from there to here. That I always think about that. Like, how did I almost, if you can say, like, how did God find me there? Like, and then, ended up getting married to Anna, whose family was wild and crazy and like on the charismatic end of things. But in a sense, when we got married, I did feel like, I found my home in that sense. I don't mean that, my parents weren't amazing. They were and still are. But I definitely found like the lane I was supposed to be in. And that was the beginning of a lot of things for me. So, but I remember those days very fondly, and people were very loving and very committed, and all those things I think were built into me. My dad was sort of like, hey, if you say you're going to do something, then say it, and then do it. Don't change your mind. He was a very sort of loyal, steady guy. And so I think that's in my bones as well as having the wild sort of thing that people might see on stage. I think that's in my bones as well.
Yeah, so true.
And then how did you guys meet? How old were you? And how did you start like dating and that kind of stuff?
I was 17 and I left home, and all I wanted to do was be in the music side of things. I didn't care what I was doing. So I went to be a T-boy in a studio in Eastbourne, and I was on one of these government schemes called YTS. £28 a week it was, which is brilliant, wasn't it? It's all I needed.
Living the dream.
Yeah, it was. So yes, quite a young age to leave home. Now, I think of my daughter Mary, who's 17. That'd be a bit scary. Anyway, went to Eastbourne. Was working in the studio on all these different projects. So one day it would be like a choir, one day it would be like a heavy death metal band from Eastbourne coming in, and it's just real varied. And then every now and again you'd have these gospel singers coming in, and one of those was a children's choir for a singer-songwriter, and I was recording, and through the glass I could see this very gorgeous young lady in the choir, thinking, cool, I think she's nice. That ended up being Anna.
I can't sing. I don't know what I was doing in that choir.
No, you can. You can.
Well, I pretend I can. Well.
And anyway, nothing happened then. A couple of years later, we met again somewhere, and I was like, I think I really like you. And I was living in Eastbourne. I ended up moving over to Littlehampton to join your church and family. That was the beginning of the cutting edge stuff, the youth stuff that we were leading together. And within 18 months, we were married, weren't we?
It's very.
Yeah.
I was and still am intrigued by Martin. I haven't quite worked him out, and he loves Jesus with his whole heart and has given his life, and I just love that in him, and I love the fact that, he fascinates me how he does life and how he thinks. Sometimes infuriates me, but. Most of the time is just, he's a good man. He's a good man.
Oh, amazing. What are the timelines with someone? You started touring at what age, and what age did kids come into the picture?
Yeah.
How does that?
Yeah. Just for people that don't know the history, we ended up in Littlehampton together, called Starting a New Life. As part of the church that we were in, we started this youth group thing, really, and it was like 2 hours on a Sunday night every month. Started in a sort of a drama theatre, so nothing glamorous. Dodgy PA system. I couldn't play very well, couldn't sing very well, but it was 2 hours, and basically we just got all the kids in the town together, singing together, and worshipping God together, with some of these new songs that I was writing. And it grew and grew and grew. And, after sort of 4 or 5 years, there'd be 1,000 a month coming from all over the south of England. That then grew into what became Delirious, because we were like, okay, I think we've done that. Now let's go and tour this around the world. So let's start a band. We can't take the whole team of 20 people. So five of us started doing that. And I guess in the context of that, we started having children. I was probably, 27 by the time the band had started. So older than people think, if you know what I mean. Like, I think people think it's always going to be when you're 16, 17, but we were a bit older. We were all married. And so there was a little bit of stability there, wasn't there? And even when we were touring hard around the world, we had this 10-day rule, which we set and always stuck to. That we'd be back on the 11th morning, and that worked for us, didn't it?
Yeah, it was busy. Obviously, having children with Martin being away, and the communication and the just the logistics of that were
pre-phones, wasn't it?
It was pre-phones, but it was almost the organisation and prioritising our time together were all part of making it work, especially in those early years when the children were young.
Wow. Because we've been here for one night. We came down last night, and I FaceTimed my kids 3 times.
Yeah.
In that time.
Yeah.
You guys obviously didn't have that, so the logistics of it were tricky by the sound of it.
Yeah. We would be in America, and we would have a landline number that we could call, and then you put in your 20 digits, and then you connect, and then Anna would pick up. Hey, how you doing? This is the wrong time. I've got.
Not now, Mark.
Not now.
No, literally.
Literally.
So this is your one chance. Again, it's your one chance of the day. There's time change. I've got 3 kids in the bath. Look, I want to talk to you, but I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
And so, okay, well, let's try tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so, none of this sort of texting or FaceTiming throughout. We just didn't have that luxury then.
Wasn't an option.
Wasn't an option, but
and nobody had that option. And so you just, for me, almost I would shut down our life together and Martin, and I just concentrated on the children. I didn't even have the distraction of Insta or anything. There wasn't. So actually, I just devoted that time and energy to the children and to what was going on in their lives. And I never used to be, Dad's gone, that's going to be really tough. It was like, Dad's gone, right, we're going to make this fun. So it was that attitude of not Dad's gone and everything's going to fall to pieces, but what can we do in this time? Make every moment fun. And I wanted that for them rather than dreading Dad going, because he would be back, but then he would go again. Yeah. So that lifestyle, I just didn't want them to, it was going to be fun. Yeah.
How old were they when you started touring?
Oh, from birth, would it be?
3 and 1. No,
just thinking, how old would Ellie have been?
Yeah.
When so Ellie was 97.
Yeah, so, I mean, they all grow up just being in it.
It's all they've ever known. Yeah.
And then can you imagine 5 families? And every year we would go to America to do a big tour. So we had the 10-day rule, but then we'd do a month in America in the spring.
With all the kids.
With everyone. That's
with
amazing.
Everyone.
Oh, that's cool.
Can you imagine queuing up at Heathrow Airport with 16 children?
Oh, my word.
Ready to get on a flight.
So there would
it
have
was
been
crazy.
10 crew,
That's incredible.
on the technical side. I don't know, 12 parents, 16 children, all trying to check in.
But if you ask the children, those are their best memories ever.
Ellie said she loved that. When we spoke to Ellie, that it was just everyone getting on a massive bus. And
it was fun.
Because we were like, how do you get places?
Yeah, exactly.
We had a bus.
Yeah, all these big sleeper buses, and we'd put all these babies, try and get them to sleep on this bus. I mean, it was crazy.
Oh, they'd be jet lagged.
Yeah.
Waking up at 3 a.m.
With their, what was those Lucky Charms that they'd all want in America?
Cheerios. Those horrible sugary.
Marshmallow,
and they'd just be stuffing them with sugar and they'd be bouncing off the bus and then...
Yeah, it wasn't great.
But for us guys, we've then got to stay awake until 8 p.m. in the evening to do a show. And we're walking around and then, we'd have 20 minutes before we went on, guys, we all right? Are you okay? You still alive?
It was fun, though. It was fun and terrible. I would say it was both of those things.
Yeah, but mostly fun.
Mostly fun.
I've got 2 questions. One is a really silly question. I just can't get it out of my head.
No, I love it.
The 10-day rule, was there a limit for when that resets? Or is it you come back 2 days and then you can go away for 10 days again?
That's a great
Absolutely.
question.
No, it's good.
Absolutely.
I think we would have done about 4 of those a year.
Okay, yeah.
And then in between, there was just a lot of 3 days in Europe, 5 days South Africa. Okay, we're going to Italy 2 days in and out, or so there was a lot of short trips as well. But it felt like we were always on the go, and then great. And now you've got 2 weeks to start writing for the next project. Then you've got to demo it. Then we're in the studio. Oh, but in the middle we're going to Slovakia for 2 days, and then we're going to add on Croatia. So when I look back, it didn't feel like we stopped much, but we would always try and be around when the kids were off school. And that was always quite an important rule for us, that half-term holidays in schools, if they were off, we would be at home. We'd still be doing a few things like writing but we were around, and that was always really important.
My thing with that, even though Martin was around, very often his mind wouldn't be. And that would be the tension that we would have with the children, is that Dad's at home, Dad's here, but often his mind wasn't. And that was very evident as well, which I really struggled with. And trying to get Martin to be present in the moment, now is the time, I think has been one of the biggest struggles that the children would talk about, but also we would talk about. And I have to say, Martin he's done so well at trying to, because I think he feels like he would have probably in that time missed some moments, because his mind, even though he was there, he was at the party, he was doing the birthday, I think we were all very aware that sometimes his mind wasn't. And I think that's really tough when you are a creative and you are thinking of the next thing. To be present in the moment is very evident for everyone around you.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the harder things that we found, especially for me and with my wife as well, and just my daughter, because my mind is always thinking about the next, the creativity side, absolutely, a healthy dose of ADHD. Yeah. And it's trying to be present is an actual battle. Yeah. Because it's sometimes if you've got an idea, you've just got to do something with it. Yeah. But also it's I always remember my daughter will be like, Daddy, you're on your phone again. Yeah. And I'm not like scrolling Instagram. I'm like trying to do something productive for the family.
Yeah.
But then it's also, that might be important, but this is also more important. I think my follow-up question to the touring thing is, I think a lot of people will relate to having to juggle a lot of these plates of time with family, but also career and supporting family.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people do work overseas a lot. And I think even if you work at home, we talk about it a lot, and we get a lot of messages about work-life balance, and because it is really difficult. That usually the parenting does fall to one of the parents, and then you are trying to fight for your career, but your time, if you put more time in work, you might progress more, but you lose more time at home.
Yes.
Like how? Because I'm assuming that that pressure is always there until you make a decision. Have you learned anything within that to ease some of those tensions, or even just the conversations that you have behind the scenes?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the, especially today, is one of the questions that everyone talks about.
Yeah, I mean, there's no perfect model, is there? You know, every family's DNA and makeup is going to be slightly different and quirkier than others, or whatever it is. You know, everyone's just uniquely made, aren't they? So the way you've been parented affects the way you parent, and so that's always going to be your uniqueness. And that's why we're always brilliant at looking into other families and going, cool, I wouldn't do that. But of course, that's stupid. Like, well, I wouldn't do that because I'm not them, you know. I think that the two things that we've really tried to work hard on is communication, of course. Like taking time to really talk through, like, okay, what's this week going to look like? Rather than just falling into it and then the chaos of like we're drowning. Okay, how can we like already get ready for what could hit us this week? And then something that Anna is brilliant at is just like military style planning. Like,
I was going to say, well, being the creative, does the organisation fall?
Military, like as though we're going to war. Like, and so, you know, I remember...
Is that compensating for that?
Absolutely,
Like things like, you know, okay, they've got school tomorrow, and then Anna would lay all their clothes out on their bed the night before. I'd be doing packed lunches the night before, wrapping them up, putting them in the fridge. You know, we wouldn't be leaving that till the morning. It was like, no, we've got to like get on this. We're going into war in the morning, you know. So we got to be on our game. And so I learnt from Anna that very early on. Like, no. If we're going to do this, we've got to get ahead of this. And so I think we have been fairly good with the planning. Yeah. Also, I know this sounds like a strange thing, but like family holidays. And this isn't a comment on like how much money you have or what you can afford, but because it's all relative, isn't it, to each of us. But thinking ahead to like, right, we are going to book something in, whether it's camping or whether it's whatever it is, or booking flights, whatever it is you can do, put those little markers in your diary, 6 months' time, a year's time. And then especially if you are self-employed or creative and, you know, you're month to month financially, the temptation's always going to be, oh, a job's come in and I've got to do it. We've found if we put it in and we tell the kids, right, this week we're going away, it's immovable, you know, pretty much. And so those markers for us have been really handy, because then, okay, then we can work hard up to that point. We can go hard, and then we know we're going to have a break. And then Dad's going to be around, Mum's going to be around. But yeah, so that's been a good tip for us, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I have to say, Martin is better at planning those
I'm
than
the
I
holiday
am.
guy.
He's the holiday. He is definitely, and he's the date night guy. He plans in time for us as well. Whereas I'm in the moment, like what needs my attention? What can I help with now? I love that Martin, he's so military in that way of putting in time, putting in dates, putting in dinner dates with other people. So then the rest of it, you know, you're just straight in and you know where you're heading.
Well, you just said something there about making time for each other. And one of the things that I want to ask is, how did you do that so I've been there where you come home from work and my wife goes, they're yours. And they pass you the baby. So Martin, you come home from tour and then you're a dad. How do you still be Martin and Anna? How did you cultivate your marriage in that time?
Oh my goodness,
it is a really good one, because I think, I could say a very different answer now in this season than I did when I had young children. Because I think when you do have, we've talked about this off the mics, but that sleep deprivation is a real...
It's horrid.
It's a real thing.
It really is, yeah.
And I think for parents out there that just are not sleeping, forget date night, you just want to get to bed. Because I think it's just, and you just have got no energy just to say goodnight to each other. And so I remember that time, so I don't want to skip over and say, oh no, date nights are really important and spending time, which I do believe are important, and prioritising, even if it's communicating how you're feeling. But I know that there are seasons where that is harder for you to prioritise that time together. Or, if Martin's been away, like you said, like your turn, I feel a bit resentful. I feel a bit bitter about the fact that you have left me and I've had to cope with some tricky situations, or the children being ill, or I don't know. There have been times where, you can feel that resentment, and to know that isn't Martin's fault, that, that's just the situation. But to know what to do with that and to talk through that. And
yeah, and whatever, whatever you reap, you sow, don't you? So and whatever you water grows. And I don't think there are any shortcuts in that. So I remember times I'd be flying back from California or somewhere like that, 8-hour time change, and it's Monday morning and it's 6 a.m. and the kids are bouncing on the bed. And it's like, Dad, you're home. And it's not even 1 a.m. It's and my body's screaming, going, this is the worst day of my life. But that would be every 2 weeks. This is the worst day of my life. But I somehow...
you were incredible.
Somehow knew, though, that if I don't man up and do this, it's going to fall apart. I can't do that and come home and then just say, hey, I'm a creative. I just need my time now. So yeah, you got to decide, this is the person I would like to be. And it wasn't like that all the time. Of course, we failed, don't we? And we would be tired and argue and can you get up tomorrow? All the usual stuff that everyone has to do. But I think that we made a commitment to it. And I think especially as the guys, we have to right, okay, I've decided I'm going to do this. We're having kids. I've got to play my part, and I can't just ignore that. I've just got to do this. I've just got to do it. That's it. Yeah. No questions.
Just got to get through. Just got to keep going.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But then the guilt of it kicks in, because I've had a few days like that where I'm just looking at the time and I'm thinking it's 5 o'clock, 2 hours till bedtime.
Yeah,
I've just got to do 2 hours, and then I think I'm not going to get this time again. Why am I wishing these 2 hours away?
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, kids, we're going to go outside. And they're like, we don't want to go outside. I'm like, why do I bother? And then you feel bad. You feel bad about feeling bad.
Yeah.
And there's that whole sort of parent guilt that, again, we have people message us about and that sort of stuff. So moving on a bit. So now we're kind of going to more present day. When we spoke to Tom and Ellie last year, they said that you guys had really actively created a culture of openness and honesty around the table, and that you really prioritized meal times together, and that people could bring whatever they had. And Ellie sort of said, well, sometimes that would lend to arguments, sometimes it would be dancing and singing around the table, but they talked about it with such fondness, hence why we're here. I thought it'd be great to do a follow-up and talk about that. Talk to us about that. Where did that come from, and how did you maintain it? Because I think for me, I would think, this is a great idea. And then as soon as it kicks off, I'd think, never again.
Yeah.
So how did you do that?
I think, again, that was from my mum. That was how I was brought up. that meal time, round the table. This is the moment where we all talk about our day and the good stuff and then the bad stuff. You know, say one good thing that happened today, then say one thing that was tough today. An opportunity to just all be together and hear each other. So yeah, that, like you said, sometimes that goes well, and sometimes it really kicked off. And it wasn't the easiest. But I think having an intentional time of sitting down round a table where people, even as young as they are, or as quiet as they are, or as charismatic as some of my children are, to know they had that opportunity to talk together around good food. That was the moment we would all be together. I think that was the only moment probably in the whole day that they had that time. Then they'd go off and do what they wanted to do. But I think it's the intentionality of it. And one thing I did used to do is not make that too late, because I think I used to do dinner quite soon after they got in from school, because that's when you're hungry and that's when they want, I think, that time together. So we would do, dinner quite early, and that make it as simple and as easy as you can. And then, have those conversations, and anything can be talked about around that table. There is nothing off limits. Don't ever be frightened about what they would come out with or the conversations that they have. And I think one of the things I learned very soon on, which still happens now, is you don't have to answer all of their questions. Another sibling or another person around the table, or just saying, "Oh, let's think about that," or that's really interesting. You don't have to answer or come up with, you don't have to respond to everything that they talk about. Just being in the room and listening. And also, as they were getting older, having other people in, some friends or what helped me is other children their age, having them or a bit older around the table that they would look up to and would also give them advice, and have them around the table, and just different points of view, different thoughts that maybe weren't all the same, I think is really healthy, especially in those teenage years, not to be frightened of those maybe wider conversations that you weren't brought up with or you would never feel like you could chat about. I think having those honest conversations are really important.
And I think as well, you've got to put love in the middle of everything, haven't you? It's, by the grace of God, and I really mean that, there's been love between us in our marriage. Doesn't mean it's always been perfect, but we like each other. And so I think that creates a safety in a family, doesn't it? Where you can then push the boundaries and you can create a context where people can be curious. But there's a fine line between the curiosity and then it being sort of anarchy. So I don't think you let it drift into that space of like, hey, just do whatever you want, say whatever you want. There's no retribution. You don't have to say sorry. You can just be who. No, I think the context of love creates a space, and then there's a boundary there, and hopefully our kids have respected that and also grown up feeling sort of safe as well. That ultimately, we love them, and
Yeah, because Ellie said it was interesting with Tom being there. Because I said, how did that feel for you, coming in? He was like, well, I came back. Yeah. But one thing Ellie said was our voice as children mattered. Yeah. And it wasn't too long we talked about previous generations that the attitude was children should be seen and not heard. And then here's you guys going, actually, no, we want to hear what you have to say, which is something that I love doing with my children now. Like, okay, what do you think about that? Yeah. What do you think about this? Yeah. And then sometimes it's just, can we watch TV? Yeah. Or
absolutely.
But it's still, it gives them the platform to know that they're allowed to say what their thoughts are. I think for me then as a dad is, like you said, the appropriateness that sometimes you can't say that. Okay, I understand why you've said that, but maybe don't say that to someone you don't know. Or
yes, so true.
So it's your job as a parent then to guide them.
Very
and
good.
I think that's something that the goalposts move then, don't they, as they get older.
And also as parents, it's not our job to be their best mates. like
They've got them.
I'm like, I know I'm your dad. Like,
Yeah.
there's a line here, and I'm not trying to vie to be your best buddy. Now, in time, I think probably they might be, but there has to be, you're not just saying, hey, we're just going to like live in this Hollywood movie of everyone just be buddies. And no, it's like, no, I have a role here, and that is also to direct you and teach you, as well as you bring me stuff as well. But let's get this clear, like I'm not,
Yeah.
And I think Anna's the same, and I think in the end it creates a good mix, doesn't it?
And I think having other people around, whether that's siblings, aunties, uncles, the wider family, grandparents, I think those people are crucial in your children's lives. Good. And that's where, for us, church has been unbelievably helpful, having community of people that are outside. So it's not just us and our opinions and our views, but the siblings can also chat about stuff and we can sit quietly and listen and learn what they're having. My life is so different to what our children, the lives that they're growing up in, especially living in Brighton. There is all sorts of, just difficult conversations and things that are going on in their lives and in the world. And I want them to have the freedom to think differently and to think wider, and for us as fam to encourage each other and ask each other those questions.
Yeah, brilliant.
So now, going on to being grandparents.
Yeah.
What is one thing?
Anna, your face lit up. Absolutely lit up then.
Did it?
It really did.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, mate. But
Sorry.
Like a Christmas tree.
Yeah. So exciting.
My question isn't very serious. It might be. What is one thing that you would, maybe not your kids, but what would you say to the parents who have become, like the people who have recently become parents, like your children?
Yes.
That sort of bracket.
Yes.
What would you say about them towards their parents? Does that make sense? So there's a lot of expectations that I now have of my parents.
Yes.
For my daughter.
Yes.
But I don't often ask what are their expectations the other way around.
Yeah.
And like we've kind of gone to this bracket of when I'm at work and we've got no childcare.
Here
Children.
we go. Yeah.
What is one thing you would say, not to your kids, but it could be indirectly?
Yeah, indirectly. I just think, again, communication. Like, if you want me to have the children, then just maybe ask me rather than just come over and like, it's the communication, it's the expectation of what my role is as a grandparent and so it's talking about those things and having the relationship to say, hey, Mum, can you not tell my children off when I'm here? Or I can say, hey, can you just wipe their hands after they've had a chocolate ice cream? It's being able to have those without it being tense. And I don't know, that's what I'm loving about this new season, is navigating with Ellie and Tom, who are just the best parents ever. I'm learning from them and listening to how they're parenting differently from how we did in this next season. So I'm learning from them, as well as saying, hey, these are the rules in this house. Boys, can you take shoes off when you have come in from the garden? It's working out what rules that we have. And I'm still navigating that, but by talking to our children about, how are we going to do this? How are we going to,
But they are literally perfect though, aren't they?
They are.
There's like such a deep love.
For your grandchildren.
A whole different thing. Because your own kids, like, you're in conflict, aren't you? All the time. There's like an ongoing conflict of like, don't do that. Because
they're your main responsibility.
Yeah,
we are responsible for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, well done, you won the race, fantastic. And then the next day, But I remember this came very clear to me once. I just hoovered out my car and I got it spotless inside. And
they're laughing already. They know
where it's going.
They know where it's going.
Because I'm a little bit into that. I like things to be tidy. And anyway, we took Maccabee and Wilson out in my car in the back. I don't know, were they having a pizza? They having pizza or something. I don't know. They're hungry. Anyway, they start deciding to have fun with it. Like
I
throwing
think they
the
were
pizza
drumming.
around.
They were drumming with
They're
the pizza.
drumming with the pizza, right?
Yeah, it was perfect.
So instead of drumsticks, they've got pizza sticks. And there's just pepperoni flying, there's bits of ham flying through the windscreen. And if that was like one of my kids, I'd be like, right, stop the car, get
Everybody out.
How dare you do? But we're in the front going, oh, look
at them.
Look, they're throwing pizza. This is so lovely. Oh, look, it's wonderful.
His drum skills are amazing.
Do it a bit more. Do it a bit more.
Ruin everything else.
It's definitely the double standards we set
It
on our
is,
parents.
definitely.
If I did that when I was a
Definitely.
kid, I'd be told off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They can do no wrong.
Can I just say, when they did get out the car, you did clean the car very quickly afterwards, though, as well.
Yeah.
But no fault to them.
No,
it wasn't their fault. It was Anna's fault for allowing it.
That's one thing I see with my dad. I love my dad's, and I try to take a lot of his parenting and apply it. He was very strict.
Yeah.
And I just see him now as soft as ice cream.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just think, if I had done that, Dad, I wouldn't have sat down for a few hours. Do you know?
Yeah.
I know.
So it's funny, the sort of dynamic. I think one thing you said there was about what you will like accept and what's acceptable by Ellie standards. Or I think one thing for me is, on the other side of it, is that once we were at my in-laws' house, so again, that's a different dynamic with how I am with my own parents and I am with my wife's parents. And my son did something, I can't remember what it was, and my mother-in-law was just like, don't do that. And I thought, well, actually, I'm okay with him doing that, but we're in your space. So then there's a different dynamic with, we're in your house, we have to obey your rules, even though these are my kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a constant, and I think just being aware, I think that's, I haven't got the answers. I haven't got the right answers for anyone listening, but it's just being aware of each other. And I feel like you guys, from what you've said, have got that.
We don't get it right. I think it's the awareness, just like you're saying, that I don't want to always, I'm not always right. I don't want Ellie to think mum's the strict grandparent. But it's like negotiating and we're just, working that out as you go, aren't you? You're just navigating that. But what's more important to me is relationship than anything else. So to be able to have that is gold.
I love it. I think one of the biggest things I want for my family is that thing of open communication, and sometimes I just don't always know the questions to ask. And so my daughter's 5, so I'm saying, what do you think I should ask? She's got no clue.
Yeah.
But it's that thing of, I'm definitely aware of how fallible I am as a parent. I make mistakes all the time, and I have to stop myself being too honest with my 5-year-old. But it's definitely having that openness of, I'm going to get this wrong, and we're going to have to learn to deal with that. But again, it's that, and we've said it a few times with for regular listeners, you always parent some things you take from your parents, something you do opposite. Yeah. And it'll be the same for my daughter, even though I'm a perfect dad.
Of course, of course.
But it's that thing of, I'm going to get stuff wrong, but I just always have to try and keep that level of communication open, of not get too up yourself.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, amazing. Guys, we've loved speaking I could speak to you guys for hours. Before we let you go, I briefed you with this before. I would love to hear a little bit of advice, Anna, from you for dads. One bit of advice you'd have for dads, and Martin, one bit of advice you'd have for mums, if that's all right.
Yeah, I think, it's kind of what we talked about. I would just say the communication and prioritising your wife in these times where I think things that you have the ability to talk about, and there are things that you just want your man to just come alongside you, help you unload the dishwasher. That communication and him thinking of you and knowing what you need in those moments. So as a dad, it's just coming alongside and understanding what you need in those moments.
Yeah, wow. I think I would say to mums now, don't compare yourself. Just be who you are and be confident in that you've been given these children and you've got everything you need to parent those children. I see this in Ellie's generation now. They're all on Instagram, like we all are. But you know, there's like every day there's like a new parenting tip, right? You know, I did this and then this worked for me, and then someone's saying the opposite, and then, you know, I put them down from a nap. Well, scientists saying you shouldn't do a nap. Now you should breastfeed, then there's milk. It just goes on and on and on, and you can never win at that game. You've just got to like be confident in who you are, and again, you know, they're your children. They're not anybody else's. So you've got the authority and the DNA to know what to do with your own kids. And so, yeah, I would say, you know, just try and remove some of that pressure, external pressure. Enjoy them. I've seen Anna enjoy her kids, and that has been the thing that has pulled me in out of my creative head of thinking always about the next thing. Come on, like our kids are to be enjoyed. Like they're actually living people. They're real. And so, like, yeah, don't miss this for anything. And so that's, I'd say to mums, like, yeah, like, enjoy it as much as you can, and don't compare. Be who you are, and know you've got this.
Amazing. Anna and Martin Smith, thank you so much for coming on the Parenting Tools podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.